there, fellow creeps and creepettes. Welcome once again to the Masked Fan Furnace, where it's 364 degrees today up here. But you know, I say since we're already up here, we may as well go ahead with this, I think. And yes, I am aware that I'm wearing a big black jacket, but well, I tell you, since unclothed I look like a big uncooked breadstick, I'm going to keep the jacket on because I like you and I think you deserve that much common courtesy. Tonight's mask is a very warm copy of a Don Post mask you don't see come up too often. It's the Don Post Voodoo Doll. That's right, it's called Voodoo Doll. How do I know it's called Voodoo Doll? Because there's a tag right here what says Don Post Masks Voodoo Doll. See? And this didn't come out until 2011, and I don't know how many were made, but I think not very many because it doesn't come up too often. You do see a few online dealers with a few of these, but not too frequently. Sold for around $35 to $40, which is not bad. It was well, part of a sort of a loose series of masks that Don Post Studios was doing around that time, made of vacuum formed plastic rather than traditional latex. And as you can see, this one has no latex involved at all. It has a vacuum formed face form underneath, and then it has this very nice fabric. And this fabric is genius. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it looks like burlap, but it's not nasty and itchy and dusty and creepy like burlap, but it has very much the right look, except that it's, when you touch it, you can tell it's something softer and something you'd be a lot more happy to wear than actual burlap. Now, the way this thing is made, let's just take it off the wig head that it's on here. The way it's made, it's kind of like a Jason hockey mask on the inside, okay? There's your face mask part, and your elastic band that goes around the back of the wearer's head, and then this this non-burlap sort of hood is attached all over the place. And as you can see, there's a cord here fastened in the back, and ideally when you put this on, you would wrap the cord around your neck thusly and have a look like that. Isn't that cool? Now you might be thinking, who in the world would want a giant voodoo doll? Because you typically think of a voodoo doll as being a small thing, anywhere from like 3 inches to maybe a foot tall. You don't really think of voodoo dolls being like 6 feet tall. But hey, come on, this was 2011. Thousands of masks had come out by that time, and it's getting hard to come up with new ideas in the year 2011. And this one is at least really unique and original. One thing I like about it is that if you don't want a giant voodoo doll, you could use it as a scarecrow. It would be great with maybe a straw hat safety pinned on there with some old clothes. Use it as a scarecrow. It would look fine. Although if you look closely, the attentive and astute viewer will note that there are little things here and there to represent pins sticking out of it. You know what I thought initially? The first time I saw this, the first thing I thought was, why? But the second thing I thought was, you know what would have been really cool is if they would have come out with a little miniature voodoo doll to go with it, that looked just like this, that had this same head and face. Wouldn't that have been neat? Because see, like if you were doing a haunted house attraction or some sort of a Halloween show or something, you could prominently feature the small voodoo doll and then have somebody work a magic ritual over it or something like that, and then have somebody come out and threatening people with this mask on, and it's like the voodoo doll has been brought to life as a giant voodoo doll. Yeah, that is the kind of thing I think about when I see masks sometimes, as a matter of fact, since you asked. But they didn't do that. They never came out with that little voodoo doll to match the mask. That was just something that occurred to me would have been cool. And other than that, there's not a whole lot to be said about him. Most of the copies that are out there seem to be samples, which would indicate they did not produce a lot of standard production copies. They just made just a few, I think. And how do I know it's a sample? Well, it says right here on the tag, sample. See that? Sample right on the tag. And the tag is heavier cardboard than a normal Don Post mask tag was. And it's possible that the plastic is thicker. It's possible the plastic on the ones that are samples are a little heavier than it would have been in production copies. I don't know. But I can see them doing that, not to deliberately mislead anybody into thinking you're going to get more mask than you're really going to get, as much as a consideration of having to do with travel, going to trade shows and conventions and things like that, where they're going to be showing the mask. It's going to get thrown in and out of boxes and suitcases and such, and probably going to get manhandled on its travels, and needs to be one that will hold up to a little bit of abuse to go around as a sample, like I said, to the trade shows and stuff. And likewise, the tag needs to be a little bit more heavy duty than normal. I still haven't taken the tag off here. I should, because well, it looks better in your collection, obviously, without a tag hanging on it. But since it's a sample, that's kind of cool. So I don't know. He's got this weird button here for an eye. I expect it's supposed to be like a coat button or something enlarged. It looks a little bit like a film reel, like a reel of film. And one interesting thing about this rather rare voodoo doll mask, some people have actually tried to promote it on mask websites, costume websites, eBay dealers, people like that, have actually tried to promote it using a photo that was taken upside down. And they couldn't even tell that this was supposed to be a face. So there's a fairly common photo floating around out there on the interwebs of the voodoo doll mask, but when they took the photo they didn't realize they had the mask's face upside down. But I do like it as a mask anyway. It's an odd thing, certainly, and I think fun for Halloween, whether you know it's supposed to be a voodoo doll or not. I think it would be cool with any kind of like slasher or mad killer kind of character. And it's pretty well made, or at least the samples are very well made. I don't know if the production copies are as nice. I don't know if there are any that are actually considered production copies, because everybody seems to have a sample like this one. But if you can find one for in the neighborhood of, oh, let's say under $18 million, you should probably go for it, because it's kind of a cool mask and it has a nice old school Halloween look to it, and therefore do I recommend the Don Post Studios Voodoo Doll.